Bhagavan Madhavo Bala
Kinchit no vacho
Prahasta Kinchino Vakyo
Bhavo no nujasya saha
Prabhavo no Najasya Saha
Tam Siddhatha Kataran Vikasya
Tam Satha Kataran Vikshya
Bhagavan Madhavo Bala
Bhagavan Madhavo Bala
Prahasya Kinchin Navacha Prabhavo no Nujasya Saha
Tan, them, Tatha, in such a condition, Katharan, distress, Viksya, seeing, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Madhava, the Master of all mystic knowledge, Bala, Lord Balram, Prahasya, gently smiling, Kinchit, anything at all, Na, did not, Uvacha, say, Prabhavajnas, knowing the power, Anujasya, of his younger brother, Sa, he. The Supreme Lord Balrama, the Master of all transcendental knowledge, smiled and said nothing when he saw the residents of Vrindavana in such distress, since he understood the extraordinary power of his younger brother. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki. Purport: Sri Balrama is the plenary expansion of Lord Krishna and is thus non-different from him. They are, in fact, the same absolute truth manifest in separate forms. According to Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, Lord Balrama was laughing because he thought Krishna never cares to play with me in my form of Sheshanaga. But now he is playing with this ordinary mundane snake named Kaliya. The question may arise as to why Krishna and Balrama allowed their loving devotees to suffer such great anguish during Krishna's temporary imprisonment within the coils of Kaliya. It must be remembered that because the inhabitants of Vrindavana were completely liberated souls, they did not experience material emotions. When they saw their beloved Krishna is apparent danger, their love for him intensified to the highest degree, and thus they merged completely into the ecstasy of love for him. The whole situation has to be seen from the spiritual point of view, or it will not be seen at all.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry, bro. You have to read the translation because that was not read.
Okay.
Just before that, the 13 to 15. Let's see before that. There is no purport. That's why we wrote 16.
Okay, good. I thought it will
I
be.
want you to understand, yeah.
Yes,
If you go back, that 13 to 15,
yes,
there is no purport. So you just have to read the translation.
sure. Translation, text 13 to 15. Seeing the inauspicious omens, Nanda Maharaja and the other cowherd men were fearful, for they knew that Krishna had gone to herd the cows that day without his elder brother Balarama, because they had dedicated their minds to Krishna, accepting him as their very life. They were unaware of his great power and opulence. Thus, they concluded that the inauspicious omen indicated he had met with death, and they were overwhelmed with grief, lamentation, and fear. All the inhabitants of Vrindavana, including the children, women, and elderly persons, thought of Krishna just as a cow thinks of her helpless young calf, and thus these poor suffering people rushed out of the village, intent upon finding him. Hare Krishna. Here we have seen that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura is describing the thought process of Balarama regarding his younger brother Krishna. In the same wise, we have seen in the previous text that Srila Sridhara Swami also been mentioned in the purports 2 times regarding this bad inauspicious omens and also regarding the lakes. First we will discuss these omens which Srila Sridhara Swami is mentioning. Srila Sridhara Swami is mentioning about 3 omens which are inauspicious. One from the sky, another from the earth, and between both sky and earth, the living creatures. To be more specific, he says that the falling meteors are the stars, falling stars from the sky, the tremors on the earth, and the left side of the creatures, particularly the cows and the people around there, they were getting a shivering. So these 3 was mentioned, saying that it's a bad omen. And this intensified the grief and stress of Nanda Maharaj, thinking that today his elder brother has also not gone and Krishna is in danger. Seeing that, they rushed towards the lake where Kalya was residing. Sridhara Swami here mentions in his Sri Hari Vamsha, Vishnu Parva, about the lake. He says that the lake is full of poison, and the poison is so strong from the Kalya that the fire of that poison has formed a fog around the lake, and this fog is so intense that just with a blow of wind it takes around, and this can kill any creature, any living creature. Sridhara Swami also mentions that reaching to this lake through the air is also not possible, because any bird or any creature which flies on the lake, because of the intense poison, it dies and falls down in the lake. Even the blade of grass which tries to fly around, it's not possible to cross the lake. Even demigods were not in a capacity to cross this lake. Sridhar Swami also explains that this was from an air point of view, but terrestrially also, if somebody wants to reach this lake, it was difficult, that the shore of the lake were having the holes in which various serpents were there. Then the question comes, now how Krishna will reach into the lake? Krishna reached into the lake with the help of the Kadamba tree. But now the question comes that since the creatures around the shore was very much affected by the poison, how come this Kadamba tree could be used by Krishna to reach into the middle of the lake? This lake, it is been said that sometimes it was 8 miles long and it was very difficult to reach. Then how Krishna would have reached through this Kadamba tree? Acharya says that this Kadamba tree came into life just by the touch of Krishna's feet. Also Acharya explains that Garuda, the eternal transporter of Krishna, knew that his master is going to use this kadamba tree. So he poured a bit of nectar for this kadamba tree, which came into life, although the poison was intense. It is also said that till now in Vrindavana we can see this kadamba tree. Now, once it is found that Krishna is in danger, and because of these bad omens, now Nanda Maharaj, the cowherd people residing in Vrindavana, reaching to this lake, they were following the footsteps or footprints of Krishna. These footprints were identified with 3 marks, one flag, another bow, and another was conch. So with this demarcation on the footprints, they were following it and tried to reach the lake. Now the question comes, how come these footprints were being sustaining with all this wind and other creatures walking here and there? Acharya explains that Krishna's footprints were so much dear to the residents, even to the wind and the calves, that they don't disturb it. They keep it as pratima. By seeing these footprints, all these people, along with Nanda Maharaj, they tried to reach. In the verse, it is said that only one person was out of distress, and that was Balrama. Balrama knows that what's the power of his brother, and he was not in stress. Having said that, Balram was also supporting in the sense that he was not allowing the cowherd boys and other gopas there who were to rush into the water to save Krishna. At the same time, it is also said that with his smile itself, some of the people stopped, who were a bit intelligent to understand that, yes, Balram knows what is going to happen. The residents of the people of Vrindavana were in so ecstatic love that it is said in the verse that they were in such a stress that they wanted to cry, but they were in such a shock that they were not coming out of the shock, and they could not able to the tears were not able to come down. In a way, people can also say that in the Krishna book, Prabhupada says that it's almost like 2 hours that the coil of Krishna, of Kalya, was so intensely bound Krishna that he could not able to come. Now the question is asked that why Krishna made these people suffer so long when he loves the cowherd boys, the residents of Vrindavana, Nanda Maharaj. Then what was the reason that for such a long time he could able to sustain them? Here there are 2 ways of saying it, as Prabhupada has explained in the purport, that the residents of the Vrindavana were not an ordinary soul. The feeling of separation, the feeling of the pain going through by the Krishna were so instantified for them that their love intensified and accelerated to a highest level. Also, Acharya explains that the moment Krishna found that all the people of Vrindavana who were living in the vicinity of the lake, who approached and seeing him in this condition, were getting distressed, then he expanded himself, and he expanded himself in such a way that the Kalya had to leave him, had to loosen his grip. Kalya here, we should understand that he is not an ordinary snake also. By his mystic powers, by name Jalastamba, he could make a palace in the water itself. Whereas we people can think only of making ice from water. But Kalya was so mystic powerful that he could make a palace in the water itself. We find these pastimes of Krishna very, very nectarious, very, very sweet for all of us. But there are some mundane people or materialistic people who may not like it. Like in a sense, they will not believe it. or we can say they will not understand it. What could be the reason? The reason here, Acharya explains that there are two ways of imbibing knowledge or gathering evidence. One is Aroha Pantha and another is Avaroha Pantha. Aroha Pantha is the education system which we all go through. Experimentation, by research, by paper reading, by gathering different information, dot to dot connecting and coming to a conclusion. That is can be also called inductive process of coming to a conclusion. Whereas Avaroha Pantha is called descending process, directly depending upon the authority, directly getting the knowledge. To understand this, we can see an example that if a person wants to find out who is his father, through Aroha Pantha, he can take the whole population of male population, calculate age, gender at that time and this time, and then he can come to a conclusion. Whereas in Avaroha Pantha, directly the person can approach his mother and ask who is his father. It saves time and effort. Another example, we can see that man is mortal. If this is a statement, to prove it, there can be an experiment, there can be an research. And on the other side, through Avaroha Pantha, you can directly accept the statement that it is from the authority. Now, what are the limitations of this Avaroha Pantha, in which non-believers, or they say that seeing is believing, through experimentation and research what we do and come to the conclusion? What are the limitations of it from the spiritual realm, that this can't be used in understanding spirituality? There are four major deficiencies in this particular methodology of gaining knowledge or assembling evidence. But with this evidence itself, the evidences are of three types. And Aroha Pantha, the ascending process or inductive process of gaining, uses Pratyaksha Pramana or Anumana Pramana. Pramana means evidence. And this modern science or modern education system depends upon two types of evidences or two methodologies, that is Pratyaksha Pramana and Anumana Pramana. Pratyaksha Pramana means direct perception through our senses, by seeing, touching, writing and gathering. There are four deficiencies in it. The first deficiency or limitation in it is called Karna Pathava. Karna Pathava means our senses are imperfect. The second limitation is Pramada, that is tendency to be illusioned. We get illusioned by this. The first two are very important, which are a big limitations, in which we can't use methodology of today's education system or research methodology in understanding spiritual matters. The senses are imperfect. If we see that if we want to taste an orange, and before tasting an orange, if we taste sugar, the orange tastes sour. Whereas if we taste first lemon and then take the orange to taste, then we find that the same orange is sweeter. The orange is same, it's just the way we do it. This is an example of imperfect senses. The illusion, pramada, what we have gone through is, suppose in different countries, we all have gone through the train journey, particularly India. The trains will have the windows, and windows are of two types. I'm talking about second class and general compartment. AC compartment, it's all that closed glass one. But when it is second tier general bogie, then we have two types of windows. One is the shutter one, the solid one, in which there will be some holes, and that is basically used during summer to protect from the sun and the heat. And the another one is the glass. But rarely we use these two in Indian train journeys. Normally we keep the windows open, only with those railings. Now this train, when it starts from the platform, We see different vendors, the sound, chai, samosa and other. And slowly the train goes. Once it leaves the platform and goes a bit further, if some other train also comes out of some other platform and goes in the same direction of the train, and knowingly or unknowingly, if the speed, the velocity of both this train and the other train is same, then we as a children or we as parents, we have seen that we feel that we are not moving at all. Both that train and this train, both are static, and we can see what he is eating or what we are eating. Now, but if the train is in the opposite direction, this is called relative velocity actually in physics we call relative velocity. If both the objects are in the same direction, the velocity will be added, and if, it will get subtracted, and if both are same, so it will be 0, whereas if it is in different direction, we add it and we find that it is too much speed. So, whereas we find that the reality is the speed, it's both the trains are in motion, none of the trains are in static. So, this is an example of illusion that we are in pramada. We can also see that the carbonated water, both normal carbonated water and normal water, if both are at same temperature, by putting the thermometer, by calibrating the thermometer, if we see it also, but if we take and taste it, drink it, we find that carbonated water is at a cooler temperature. So again an example of illusion, imperfect senses. We as the children, we have seen that in different fairs in India, Mela, when we go to Mela, there will be bucket and water, pay some rupees, and there is a game that you have to put the coin into that bowl. We think that yes, we'll put the coin and it will directly go into this and we will win it. But thing is, because of the reflection and refraction, we find that when the stick is dipped into the water, we find that it is broken, it is bent, but actually it is not bent. So these are some of the examples, along with this famous example of mirage. In the desert we find that there is a water and the creature like deer or anything, they run and there will be nothing. So our senses are imperfect, and this is karna pathava and pramana. The another limitation of aroha pantha is brahma. Brahma means the tendency to commit mistakes. The tendency to commit mistakes is one of the limitations of we human beings. These mistakes, if we see that when there was a disease called chicken pox or smallpox, there was a believing that yes, it is a prakop of some devi or devta. And later when the vaccination came out, then it was improved that no, it is something different. When microscope was not invented, the smallest creatures were X and Y. But when the microscope was discovered by Robert Hooke, then we found that no, the smallest organism is something different. Until now, there is no microscope made that we can find that yes, this is the smallest size of any microorganism. So these are some of the mistakes. We commit mistakes and science gets updated. Okay? So again, this is a limitation. The last limitations which we find that vipralipsa. Vipralipsa is the tendency to cheat. Human being has the tendency to cheat. We say a lot of things about science and the evidence, the methodology, what we are using. But in the science itself, we find that there is something called Piltdown manhawks. Okay, in 1953, this amateur archaeologist by name Charles Dawson introduced this Piltdown man, and there was theory and it was somewhat accepted. But later in 2016, it was found that it was a big fraud, archaeological fraud, in which it was not in that way what it was perceived. So this is one example that we have the tendency to cheat. So these are the four limitations to modern methodology of collecting evidence or research methods in which can't be used in spiritual line or in gathering or understanding the spiritual matters. Then what is the best way to accept the methodology to understand spirituality? But before that, there is one more methodology which modern science uses from time immemorial to understand the matter around, and that is Anumana Pramana. Anumana Pramana is knowledge arrived by making hypotheses and inferences. First, the hypothesis will be made, and then we will be speculating it and gathering evidences to prove it or not to prove it. Anumana Pramana is also not can't be accepted in spiritual line to understand it. Here the theory goes in, because to some extent it may be correct, but it doesn't give us the complete truth. Here we all have seen or heard about a story called that there are a few blind men, 5 blind men, who were told to explain about the elephant. The position of these 5 blind men were around the elephant. The one blind man was near the trunk, the other was at the tusk, another one was near the body, and another one was at the leg of the elephant, and the last one was at the tail of the elephant. So since these people were blind, they were depending upon their touching method, tangible, in a tangible sense they wanted to explain it. The person who was near the trunk, he gave a decision that the elephant is like a tube. It's like a tube which is hollow. The person who touched the tusk, he said that it's like a spade. The person who was near the leg, he found that this is like a pillar. And the person who was touching the body of the elephant, he said that it is like a wall. The person who was at the tail portion and was analyzing the tail to give a decision on what elephant looks like, he found that it's like a broom. And the person who was touching the ear, he was extraordinary. He said that it's like a fan because it was flapping. So all were in the Anumana Pramana category, and we know that none of them are correct. But at the same time, they are not also wrong to some extent, okay? Because to their limitation, they can touch only the trunk of the person, and he told that it is a pipe. And the person who could touch the leg, he told it is a pillar. But when the person with the eyes could see it and can explain the whole truth of an elephant, so all of them had to accept it, because their truth was lying somewhere in the truth what the person was saying. In that scenario, we depend upon the authority who can see the whole picture rather than in parts. Even in management it happens. We see that the people who are part of the team, they can see the bit and parts of the administration or the operations. But the person who sees the whole operations as such can give a real decision, because he knows that each and parcel of the whole operations, how it is going on. In this way, both Anumana Pramana and Pratyaksha Pramana can't be used in the realm of spirituality. Now, there is one Pramana which the spirituality depends upon to gather or to imbibe, that is Shabda Pramana. Shabda Pramana is knowledge or evidence obtained by hearing from a bona fide authority, bona fide spiritual master or the authority. When we hear it and we take it, It saves time and it is also convenient to gather information. The word of the God is called scripture, and that is the highest authority from where we can say that. Scriptures are called aparushya, that means they are the divine origin. They are the divine origin and nothing above them. Some of the acharyas or some of the preachers also says that when we buy a TV or any electronic item, as we get the manual along with it, so this material world, this life when we have got the scriptures as a manual. So this life has to be spent or be used on the lines of the scriptures. Vedas, it is complete knowledge and is called Veda. That means anything which is complete. Vedas are complete. The literal meaning of Veda is the complete knowledge. There are 4 Vedas, as we all know, and the 5th Veda, Gita Upanishad is considered as 5th Veda, and it is mentioned in Bhavishya Purana as well as Chandogya Upanishad. And we are lucky that in our congregation we are taking this word of God, Gita Upanishad, in different houses through the home programs. Now, having said this, there is some sentimentalism which can come in between both the panthas of observing. For example, recently Prabhu has said that Hanuman was a monkey, but all monkeys are not Hanuman. So we have to understand that Hanuman is a monkey, but all monkeys are not Hanuman. So sentimentalism, we have to be a bit here and there. In fact, in the realm of Kalya itself, Kalya pastime, during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, even Prabhu has mentioned about it, that there was a group of people who came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and said that Prabhu, Kalya's pastime is going to happen again, our Krishna has come down again. So Chaitanya Prabhu knows about it, and he just laughed and did not believe it. But later this group of people came back and gave up, and they were not so happy, and they were not in a way that they have accepted what they have said before. They found that a fisherman was doing fishing in Yamuna in the night with the help of a torch. And these people thought that the moving part and the motion picture at the same time, the torch as a jewel of Kalya, and Krishna is dancing on it. So this sentimentalism also has to be question marked when either Avroha Pantha we are taking and moving forward. Kalyas, we have seen that now the coil is being loosened because all the residents of Vrindavana, the cows and calves, were all in distress, and because of the shock they were not able to shed their tears. So Krishna is going to loosen, and then we will proceed further. But all of us knows that after that there was an aesthetic dance, there was a transcendental dance which Krishna performed, which is very, very dear to all the devotees. Coincidentally, there is a proposal which is in the pipeline that for the pleasure of the deities, we are going to have a workshop on Vaishnava dance steps, which Prabhu is supervising and going to teach us. So that seats are very limited and it will be held. So it is a workshop.
Ladies should be dancing.
So we'll be doing that. So it's a mere coincidence that for the pleasure of Radha Shyam Sundarji, we all are going to, whoever are interested, they are going to learn the Vaishnava dance steps. Yeah, I'll give the details of that. I'm done with that. Now what we will do is I'll just repeat the verse and then we will open the forum for question answers and comments. Text number 16, translation. The Supreme Lord Balrama, the master of all transcendental knowledge, smiled and said nothing when he saw the residents of Vrindavana in such distress, since he understood the extraordinary power of his younger brother. Hare Krishna.